Ladies and gentlemen, the American Jury and Bulldog Nation, welcome to the Eric Deters Show. Let's get with it. But we begin with this. Today is National Hot Dog Day. I don't know about you, but I love hot dogs with mustard. However, I've sworn them off, and I haven't had one probably almost a year because they're so bad for you. But you go to a ballpark, how do you not eat a hot dog with mustard, right? All right, Trump, he went to the Energy AI Summit near Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania yesterday, announcing a $9 billion contribution to the cause, where they're going to create more and more energy to help build the AI industry. You know what, folks? If I had a bunch of $1 million lying around, I'd invest it in this type of things because people that do are going to get filthy freaking rich. In my opinion, AI is like the internet, you know, when that first came about, or the cell phones. It's going to be big. All right, Vance voted yesterday to break the tie to pass the Doge cuts. This is the beginning of the cuts. This is NPR, the defunding NPR, defunding PBS. And you know what? This can continue to happen as they continue to look and make cuts. And again, just because they added spending in the spending bill, the issue isn't that. The issue is, what are you spending on, and is it a good thing or not? Doge was about cutting fraud. I got faith that the new spending bill doesn't add to the fraud. Nobody talks about that. All right, Donald Trump called talking to Powell is like talking to a chair. I love it. Trump knows how to nail him. Nikki Haley strikes again. She jumps on anything that can separate her from the pack. First, it was January 6th. That blew up in her face. Now she's all Epstein file, Epstein file, Epstein file. Even Charlie Kirk and Laura Ingraham, who started out with it, have kind of said, yeah, let's freaking move on. It is kind of crazy. In other words, big picture, big picture, big picture. Trump, he calls low IQ AOC and Jasmine Crockett need IQ tests. That's another great quip, he says. He calls them low IQ. And they stick. They stick. I share that in common. My nicknames stick. For example, I named a doctor yesterday, and it's sticking. All right, Shifty Schiff. Possible mortgage fraud from housing in Maryland. Does anybody deserve the boomerang of justice more than Shifty Schiff? Alan Dershowitz says that he knows the people and the names in the Epstein files, but he says the judges are blocking release of these names. DOJ hasn't said anything about that, but maybe that's a factor in all this. Tim Walz, the guy that went and killed those state legislatures from Minnesota, said Tim Walz told him to do it. Now, we don't believe that, of course. And it's terrible that people died. But it's a little funny that he says Tim Walz wanted to do it because he wanted to be a U.S. Senator. Rare earths in Wyoming. This is wild when you think about it. First time in 70 years, we've broken ground to mine rare earths. It's wild. Wild. World news. Iranians, they busted like 10 or 11 Iranians in Vermont, a small town in Vermont. Ought to scare the hell out of you. Across the Canadian border, in a small little quaint town. I've been waiting for the terrorism to start hitting the small towns where, you know, there's less scrutiny. Easier to hide, maybe. Indonesia deal. After a 32% threat, 19% tariff on them, 0 for us. That's a win. In pop culture, apparently Kevin Costner and January Jones. Betty Draper. I like Betty Draper. Anyway, maybe dating. I like this. I'm a fan of January Jones. I'm a fan of Kevin Costner, except it's politics. This is an hysterical story. Shooter Jennings, Waylon's son, tells a story that one day George Jones comes over to the house, and he's drunk. And he's telling Waylon Jennings that he sings like Conway Twitty. Waylon Jennings picks up Jones, takes him outside, ties him to a tree. George Jones keeps yapping. And Waylon Jennings says, yeah, George, but you're still tied to an effing tree. I swear, the Chris Christopherson, Waylon Jennings, Johnny Cash, and Willie Nelson stories are just, I could listen to them all day. Whoopi attacks Obama went after everybody, said, stop whining, stop complaining, toughen up. Whoopi says, you're pointing the fingers at the wrong people. Woo! How far has Barack Obama fallen? He was once the icon. Powerless now. Powerless. Ignored. Sports Without Boundaries. The National League won the All-Star game. First time ever, because it was a tie, 6-6. The National League was up 6. American League came back and tied. So they have a home run off. 3 people, each team hit 3 pitches. And Kyle Schwarber won the MVP. 3 pitches, 3 home runs to put the National League in a win. It was fun. It was a fun All-Star game. Yeah, Kyle Schwarber got the MVP. In history, first nuclear test, July 16th, 1945, Manhattan Project. They called it the Trinity Test, where the nuclear bomb worked. In Shakespeare, your insult to today is, do not be a beastly, cold-hearted dotard. Dotard is one of my favorite endings of an insult. Beastly, cold-hearted dotard. If you live in the Cincinnati, Northern Kentucky area, listen to my local news.